Okay, this last section is about functional movement and how we can utilize proper functional movement to elevate athletes. So what is functional movement? Functional movement is a set of real-world specific movements that are the foundation of proper muscular function and coordination in an athlete. So what I mean by this is there are movements done in skills practice, there are movements done in the weight room, but those are not always the movements that we see on field or on court. And functional movements are movements that each athlete would need to do in their specific sport that should be consistent through all sports. So a squatting position, a jump, a landing position, all of those things should be something that someone can complete in a way that is skillful and coordinated and reduces the risk of injury. Now, these are multi-directional, multi-joint movements that place demands on the body's core musculature. Again, we're talking about squats, lunges, landing from a jump. And what we believe is that athletes who have the inability to perform these movements skillfully and with proper form may be at risk for injury. All right, so let's look at a few ways on how we assess functional movement, or at least how I assess functional movement. There are some standardized scales out, but I think each sports medicine or sports performance practitioner looks at different aspects of movement as they are related to the individual sport. I really like to focus on lower extremity. I think that can be helpful to illustrate in all athletes, but there's a whole set of assessments that can be done for the upper extremity as well. So let's take a look at single leg balance. Okay, looking at the single leg balance in more detail, what you'll see here, what we're looking for is on the video on the right, what we want to see is even shoulders. So we want to see these shoulders being even and level across with no tilt to one side or the other. We also want to see at that same time that the body is not tilting to the right or tilting to the left, fully extending that heel back as completely as we can. We also just want to see good balance here. So we want to see that this knee is not diving inward and maintaining good balance, as well as coordination as we do this movement. Very simple movement, but can be challenging for an athlete who does not have good balance or single leg stability. And then another exercise that I like that really exposes athletes is this single leg step down. So usually we're on a 12-inch or a 15-inch box, and what we're doing is single leg stepping down and the heel is hitting the ground. Now, there are several ways in which this exercise can be challenging. So what you'll see here is that this right knee wants to dive inward when the athlete does not have the ability to stand on one leg. You'll also see that the shoulders dive to the opposite side to keep your balance, or you'll see that the hands flail up in the air. And so I think keeping this exercise in your back pocket to look at single leg stability is quite nice. Another challenging exercise is the sit to stand. So basically sitting on the edge of the chair here and then standing up using one leg. And what you will see is as the athlete stands up, there's a number of corrections that they'll do. So one is that they'll lean their body to the opposite side because they can't create enough force standing up. The second is that they will touch the knees together in order to create enough leverage to stand up. So try this on your own and see it is quite challenging. What we're looking for is a stable upper body. We're looking for keeping the legs apart, so not using them to push off of each other, and then keeping that knee in a neutral position where it does not dive inward. So that's a nice test looking at the sit to stand. And then the last test here is looking at a drop jump test. And so really what we're looking at is step off the box, drop down, and jump directly in the air. So what I'd like to do is just slow this down a little bit, because I want you guys to see as we come down, we drop off this box, we want to see knees outward. We do not want to see our knees caving inward. We want to see stable shoulders as well. And then as the athlete goes back up, here's where you'll see those knees dive inward in order to create enough force to get up in the air. And so when you're stable, as you hit the ground, your knees should be parallel and not diving inward. And that's what we'll see in this scenario as well.